Initially I was a player coach at rugby league, and then I went to coach my country, England, from 2006 to 2011, and that's when I got heavily involved in the way your company works, PDS, and you know, the way I was pretty open-minded as a coach, the way that you get ultimately players to learn better.
It aligned itself well to where we were going, trying to produce players that could think for themselves, could make decisions live, in-game, not wait till post-game, etc. to try and solve the problems they were dealing with. So in order to align those things, we knew where we wanted to go, and we needed to have the skill set and the understanding of how to go about that. So, you know, that's where PDS really helped us out, you know, to get us on that journey to understand the mechanisms and the discipline required to coach in that way, and almost, you know, to practice what you wanted to get to.
To be perfectly honest, I had one or two reservations at the beginning, just about sort of revolution over evolution. I think, yeah, it's forced probably me as an individual to look at how I prepare for my sessions, making sure that there's very clear outcomes that we're trying to get out of sessions, probably stuff that wasn't as clear previously. So I think the whole approach to it, in terms of, you know, looking at it from a player's point of view as opposed to from a coach's point of view, making sure what they get out of the session is much more important than what I take away from the session, has probably been for me the big eye-opener.
I thought the approach was something refreshing coming into the sport. You know, we've for a long time asked players to be good decision makers without actually giving them the tools and the awareness on how to do it. And the approach that we all took as a coaching team, and putting the player first and trying to improve his understanding and the way he looked at the game and reflected on the game, I thought was very refreshing.
A massive part of it is, of course, the way we review everything. PDS and Mark Bennett have taught us to put player first.
It allows you to see instinctively how you coach, and if you want to be the most efficient you are as a coach, you have to change your behaviour, and that's really the acid test of it. It's the applied elements of what we did on the pitch, and trying to get those identical to what, for me, what would happen in the classroom environment was challenging. It was enjoyable, and I think I can easily say that it's had a massive influence on my efficiency as a coach.
I think players are able now to not be reliant as reliant on us as a coaching staff to send messages on. So, you know, to tell certain players, do this, lift your arm, put your hand there. They now can assess much quicker what they need to do. So they don't have to worry about getting information from the coaches. I think they're much more self-reliant on how they work things out. And as a result are much more confident in their own ability to fix things on the run.
Yeah, I found it challenging for myself because there's a lot of knowledge in my head, and it was very clear, the pictures were very clear to myself. But what I needed to make sure that the pictures were very clear to the player. So the style of questioning and the depth of questioning, I had to improve. That's where my self-reflection came in. And I learned how to question the player deeper in his knowledge and what he saw, and to make sure that we got to a point where we both were on the same page. And as the process went along, it became much more efficient, and you know, it became something that I really enjoyed, and training sessions gained a better tempo because of that.
The foundation, the platforms are in place for us to win trophies for the next, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, is because all the coaches are as one. The environment we've created, if you like, is a PDS environment. You know, I made my debut for Wigan in '83, it was a long time ago, so I've been involved in professional sport, either being coached or being a coach, and nobody's doing it this way.
One of the greatest points of impact was making sure that you put players in a position where they can learn. It's not just informing them of how you want things done. You know, I think the greatest understanding, the biggest improvements I've seen is players actually understanding why I'm wanting them to do things, or why the team was wanting certain things from them, and them actually preparing for that before training even begins. So knowing that they're going to get quizzed, probably, or asked, and not so much told, I just want you to put your foot there. I'm asking them as to why I want certain things from them. So they have to have a much deeper understanding of the makeup of the scrum, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish with it. So I think that sort of approach brings so much more out of the players. So for me, a lot of my career, I've just had coaches explain or tell me they want this, they want that, do this, do that. So it's probably what a lot of people have grown up with and are accustomed to. So to have a big shift like that, where you put much more emphasis on getting that information out of the player, I think it develops them much quicker and develops them as people and as players as well.
Anybody who's on this course, and God, I ask questions of myself, of course I do, and you stick with it. You stick with it, because the more you stick with it, the more I talked to Mark at PDS, the more it became crystal clear the way we coach, the way we should coach.